What's up, everyone? It's Greg Tastic here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the sad state that MLB games are in these days. Right now, if you want to play an MLB game, you basically have one choice, which is MLB The Show. And it's been like that for the greater part of 5 years. It's probably been like that for 6 or 7 years. And the stuff before that 6 or 7 year span, where that's the only thing you had to choose from, wasn't much better. The reason I wanted to make this video is because when I was younger, elementary school, middle school, going into high school age, baseball games were by far what I spent the most time playing. I would come home from school every day. I would pop in one of the various games to choose from. Believe me, I tried, if not owned and played almost all of these games that I'm about to talk about, and they were all good for their different reasons. And I would play, and before the commentary got as in depth as it is these days, I used to commentate the games myself. I probably seem like a real weirdo. I wish when I stream or make videos I could talk as much as I talked back then, because I would literally sit there, play the games, and talk the whole time. But I love baseball games, or I did love baseball games until it became a one-man show. So I just wanted to talk to you about how we got to this position we're in. Back 20 years ago, you had a handful of games to choose from, and I'm talking about legitimate games. I'm not talking about we're going to skip over non-MLB games, we're going to skip over backyard baseball, and we're going to skip over games like MLB Slugfest or what's the other one that we're going to skip over? Out of the Park Baseball. I'm talking about the legitimate baseball franchises. So the 5 games you had to choose from were High Heat Baseball, developed by 3DO, All-Star Baseball, developed by Acclaim, MLB, just MLB, not the show, MLB, and then they would add the year on at the end. That was developed by 989 Sports, which would later become San Diego studio that develops MLB The Show. You had Triple Play Baseball, which was developed by EA Sports, and you had World Series Baseball, which was developed by Sega. I should add High Heat Baseball was PC, PlayStation. All-Star Baseball initially was Nintendo 64, but once Xbox, GameCube, PS2 came out, it was on all those systems. MLB was Sony exclusive, that's a Sony developer. Triple Play was mostly PlayStation and PC, and World Series Baseball was Dreamcast only at first, then Xbox only, and then as it became more mainstream, went multi-platform. So in 2000, you have those 5 games to choose from. All of them are, if I had to rank them, it would probably be World Series Baseball and All-Star Baseball tied there at the top, followed by MLB, and then Triple Play and High Heat kind of tied at the bottom. But despite that, they mostly played the same. You picked a pitch, you threw it, you swung when the pitch got close, and the differentiators were graphics, features, stuff like that. But most of them offered a season mode, a player draft. There was no franchise, dynasty, career, anything like that back then. Go to 2003, and we actually add a game to the mix, Inside Pitch. I said I wasn't going to mention games that were only released for 1 year, but this one interests me because it was developed by Microsoft as a first-party game, and then they never touched it again. I'm going to mention in next year, 2004, why that interests me even more. In 2003, EA Sports revamps Triple Play Baseball and it becomes MVP Baseball. The graphical changes aren't that much at first, but over the next 3 years it gets even better, and they totally revamp their gameplay, which was much needed compared to Triple Play Baseball. The biggest thing that they introduce, which is inspiration for MLB The Show later, is they're the first baseball game to kind of introduce a pitch meter to help judge the accuracy and the velocity of the pitch. I think they kind of stole it from their Tiger Woods series because they used something different, similar for hitting the ball, and it's a big success. Instantly goes from being probably one of the worst games on this list to probably the best. At this point, All-Star Baseball kind of was falling in the ranking as far as being one of the better games, but it still had some good features to it and a nice presentation. The graphics also weren't that bad for the time, but Acclaim went out of business, and that was the end of that. World Series Baseball, which I should mention, also had a franchise mode that was competitive with MVP Baseball, but probably not as good at this point. Changes their name to ESPN Major League Baseball. The ESPN part will only last for this 1 year, I believe, but the name Major League Baseball 2K continues on as the series goes. And High Heat Baseball is gone. It's sold to Microsoft, the rights are. So I wonder at this point why Microsoft never got heavy into the whole baseball game, since they not only tried to release a game the year before with Inside Pitch that wasn't that good, but then bought the rights to another baseball game and never did anything with the franchise. The next year, 2005, is like the dark year for baseball gaming because MVP Baseball is now gone. MVP Baseball 2005 will be the last entries in the series. Basically, what happened, everyone knows that EA Sports has the exclusive rights with Madden to develop football games for the NFL. 2005, Sega reached a deal with Major League Baseball to be the official third-party developer for MLB games, which is interesting. A, because it allows Sony and 989 Sports, becoming San Diego Studios, to continue on with their MLB series, which becomes MLB The Show. And it's also interesting because, again, like I said, Microsoft tried to release a baseball game, had the rights to High Heat Baseball, and chose to do nothing with it. But anyway, MVP Baseball's gone. To show you how good this game franchise was, people are still modding the game to this day on PC and putting current rosters in there. And EA Sports would release NCAA baseball, or I think they took out MVP. It was just like NCAA baseball in 2006 and 2007. The game was the same mechanically, but obviously without the Major League license, it didn't sell that much and they stopped developing it. The next year, in 2006, MLB The Show debuts. Now, arguably, this is like the spiritual successor to MVP Baseball, in my opinion. They took a lot of the gameplay that MVP Baseball had going on and developed it further. And now, undoubtedly, they have the best baseball game that you could get right now, which sounds funny because it's the only game you could get. But even back in 2006, when there was a little bit of other competition, I would say it was still the best game. But MVP Baseball and MLB The Show were probably about equal at that point, and who knows where MVP could have gone as time went on. 2013, Sega announces that they're going to stop making Major League Baseball. The game never really innovated much. There's something about sports developers and innovation that just doesn't mix together well. But after they got the exclusive license, actually I would say from the point the game was released on the Dreamcast for the first time and went to Xbox and then became multi-platform, the game never innovated that much at all. It got graphically a little better, they added features, the presentation was better, but the actual gameplay and graphics kind of was just slight evolution upon what it used to be. And they actually introduced a pitching mechanic, which in my opinion kind of ruined the game, where you use the analog stick to throw your pitches. So like a fastball, you would hold down on the analog stick and push it up. A curveball, you would move it in like a circular motion, and it was very precise, and if you did it wrong, you were gonna not have very effective pitches. It stunk. I'm never a fan of that type of analog movement with any game. I'm trying to think of examples where they want you to be precise, like moving the analog stick in circular motions or stuff like that, but it just doesn't work that well in my opinion, and it's too frustrating to have to play a game like that. So once 2014 hits, MLB The Show is on its own. We do see RBI Baseball, which is, I guess, kind of developed by a studio that MLB itself created as a way to add more options to what you have, but it's not good at all. Actually, MVP Baseball 2005 is better to play than this game. There are other games that you could play, non MLB related, if you just want to get that baseball fix, like Super Mega Baseball, but again, that's not MLB licensed. So, where we stand today is you basically have one choice, which is MLB The Show. I don't like this, A, because that means you have to buy a Sony console to play it, and I don't think, you know, it sucks. I'm not going to buy a Sony console just to play MLB The Show. When I was 12, I may have tried to talk to my parents. Oh, I need PS4. I got to play the show or whatever. But now as an adult, I don't play games enough. I have a PC. It's whatever. I'm just not going to play it. It would be nice if we could get more multi-platform baseball games. It's been so long. It's 15 years since we've had two legitimate good games to choose from. And Major League Baseball wasn't stopped until about 2013, so it's been without objectively, not looking at it subjectively, it's been 7 years since we had two games to choose from. Objectively, if you think Major League Baseball was crap, it's been 15 years since there was two good games to choose from. And it's been 15 years since there's been a good game on an Xbox or on a Nintendo system and even or a PC. So it sucks that there's only this one game because they made this licensing deal. EA Sports, as far as I heard, said that it's been so long since they've developed the game that they basically, since there's no active development on it, they're nowhere close to like wanting to release a game or releasing a game. I don't understand why, because the mechanics that MVP Baseball 2005 had are good enough to pass for 2020 with what we have besides MLB The Show. Could literally take that game, retexture it, add the new players, and throw it out, and people will buy it. So I feel kind of weird saying this because no one should ever ask EA Sports to make more EA in general to make more games. But EA, come on, make us a baseball game. Microsoft, probably too late to do anything with that high heat franchise, but come on, throw someone some money and let them make a baseball game. We need more baseball games. And especially a sport like baseball where people are saying is boring and kids don't like it these days, younger people can't get into it. You make it even worse because every other sport that you could like in America, you have a game for. And MLB, yes, you have the show, but anyone who owns an Xbox or a Switch or a PC has no game. Only the PS4 people have a game. So, come on, make some baseball games.